Hello, my name is Michael and I'm the Acadian Bitcoiner. This is my very first video. Hopefully you will find some value in this. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me today. Uh, I'm going to be focusing on Bitcoin, obviously, as the title says. Uh, I bought my very first Bitcoin in 2019. I bought it on a central exchange on Coinbase and pretty well left it there for almost 2 years before I got interested again. And it had increased in value nicely. I got serious about Bitcoin in 2019 and dollar cost averaged up through the rise to the all-time high. I've continued to dollar cost average. Got serious in probably 2021 and been sticking with dollar cost averaging. Along the way, I got distracted, tempted, lured, you might say, by various altcoins and purchased a number of those and realized that Michael Saylor, I've become a little bit of a Bitcoin maximalist. Not full hardcore. I still have a smattering of ETH, Cardano, some Polkadot, and some other altcoins that I've got that are locked up. And I do have some NFTs. I've gotten involved in the NFT space as well as I've gone along. But what turned me from just a random shotgun investor in crypto and buying all these various coins and getting lured into the temptation of the newest pump and dump. And I've been burned, and I'll share some of my lessons as I've gone along. But I've read the book, The Bitcoin Standard, which I highly recommend, and I'm going to look to try and do a review of that book in a future episode. I've watched a lot of Michael Saylor's videos and interviews, and just while I will probably never be as hardcore as Michael Saylor is, I've learned a whole lot by his approach and reflecting on the wisdom of Satoshi Nakamoto and the code and the hard limit of 21 million coins. So one of the things that's inspired me of late and pushed me a little bit more to the Bitcoin maxi end of the spectrum is watching what Michael calls the shit coinery and the FTX debacle with SBF and all this high level shell game and fraud that's been going on, and I'm watching that with some interest. Fortunately, I had no involvement and no exposure to that directly, but the impacts on the broader market have certainly impact all of us in this space. And I think that while it is negative in the short term for Bitcoin and the entire crypto space, in the long term, it's going to be very, very positive for Bitcoin and itself as the fiat money printing machine continues to churn out dollars and euros and pounds at an amazing rate. Uh, right now, in my portfolio, I've got Bitcoin is my single largest holding, and probably 90+% of my portfolio is in ETH. I have a very small amount in Ethereum. I have a little bit of Cardano's ADA. I've got a little bit that's locked in Polkadot and Kusama on some of their projects. So I'm going to leave that there and let that ride. But one of the things I've done is I've moved away from centralized exchanges. I don't leave any coins, anything on a centralized exchange unless I'm looking to trade or buy or sell that coin in the very near future. Oftentimes I will transfer, when I'm dollar cost averaging, I will transfer dollars from my bank account onto the centralized exchange that I'm using and make the trade, and I will withdraw that Bitcoin into my own personal hardware wallet, usually in less than 4 or 5 minutes for the entire transaction. So I think I've minimized my exposure to the risk of the centralized exchanges that I use going under or collapsing. I use a multiple of exchanges. I don't buy I keep my buying channels and my links between my normal bank, my fiat bank, and the Bitcoin and crypto world. I like to have multiple options, because if my bank decides that they don't like letting me transfer to a particular uh, exchange, and I've had that happen, I have other options that I can move things around. Uh, I have recently taken the next big step, and right now, earlier this week, I set up a Bitcoin node using the Umbrel software on a Raspberry Pi. And right now, as I speak, that's downloading the entire Bitcoin blockchain for all 14 or 15 years of it, I guess. And it takes a couple of days to get all that downloaded. And in future episodes, I'll be looking at and exploring a little bit of what that node can do. I'm planning to set up a Lightning wallet and set up some Lightning channels. Uh, Running a Bitcoin node, and we'll get into that when we do a video on the Bitcoin node further on in this series, is not a money-making prospect. You can earn a small number of sats, as I understand it, if you run a Lightning node and for processing transactions, but we're talking pennies or maybe dollars for most of us. Doing it and running a Bitcoin node is a altruistic move on my behalf. It's really allowed me to dig a whole lot deeper into Bitcoin, into the whole philosophy, how it works, and working on making sure that the chain remains decentralized and is available to everyone all the time. So I would ask you to please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I'm hoping to do future videos. I know that I'm probably not going to have hundreds of thousands of subscribers anytime soon, if ever. But if the information I'm sharing, if that helps even a couple of people, and exploring Bitcoin, the mechanics of buying and selling, securing, principles to protect your Bitcoin, protect your value in the future, and I see the whole Bitcoin evolution as a life as probably one of the most significant changes in my life, second probably only to the computer age and the information age and coming through. I'm in my very late 50s. I'll be having a 60th birthday very soon. I remember the days of rotary phones and telephone exchanges and the challenges of information, and I'll maybe talk about the history of computers and where we are now. My first involvement in computer science, as it was programming on punch cards for a mainframe computer, and you would do your program. You would work out your logic, do your programming on these cards. You would go to a card reader. You would line up. You would put your cards through. It would read your cards. You would walk to another room down the hall. You would wait for a printout on a dot matrix printer, and you would look at the results. You would look at the output, and then you'd go back and try and debug your program and try and figure out what one was actually entered as an L or what O was entered as a 0. And it was a very labor-intensive and lengthy process. And I remember watching at the university that I was doing this, as a high school student, but visiting this university, watching them change a drive. And it was a platter that was like larger than a dining room table. And they were in this white room with a raised floor, and doing this, and just to see how far we've got, and the power that I have in my pocket with an iPhone or a tablet or a laptop computer now is just amazing compared to what it was. Anyway, again, I thank you very much. If you're still with me and you've lasted 10-ish minutes with me, I appreciate that. Please join me on this journey. Please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, and look forward to seeing you at my next video. This is Michael, the Acadian Bitcoiner, saying thank you.